Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Abigail, and I make videos about special needs, health issues, and feeding tubes. Things have been a bit crazy. Today I woke up in quite a bit of pain. If you don't know, when I got my feeding tube button replaced, I've been having trouble with this one. Sometimes when you get them replaced, the new one can leak a lot, and that's what has been happening with this one. Leaking and pain, and it really hasn't been very fun. So things have just been really crazy. I'm pretty swollen, really sore. So that's kind of how things have been going. Yesterday we had a meeting at church, a meeting that we have every Tuesday night. It's about different things, like different addictions and things like that. My older brother helps with it, and then I go with him. And it's actually nice because there's a group of people there, and it's kind of nice to be able to kind of have could you say a support group in a way. They talk more than just addictions. They talk about different things, but we have it at our church, so me and my older brother go. My older brother goes early to unlock the door and get everything set up, and then we stay for the meeting, and it's a really good support group. But next Tuesday I may not be able to go because I have a appointment out of town. I go see a nutritionist next Tuesday. It's not like a normal nutritionist. It's specifically for my feeding tube. Now I am gaining good weight, but whenever I was put on the feeding tube, everything was kind of thrown together, and they want to make sure that I'm getting the right amount of calories and gaining enough and all of that. So they want me to see a nutritionist just to be safe. So I go do that. I think it's next Tuesday. It was supposed to be over the phone, but they decided they wanted to see me in person, which I don't know why, but I'm a little bit nervous about it. One, it's out of town. The big doctors, the specialists around where we live, is out of town for us. And so that's, I think, one thing that kind of makes it worse, is that it's out of town. But also different kinds of doctors and things like that just have made me nervous. Kind of my whole life, because of things that I've been through. I was born with a rare birth defect that causes a lot of issues, and I've been through a lot of tests, a lot of surgeries, a lot of different things that is just difficult. And so a lot of times sometimes I see doctors as kind of a scary thing, I guess. Now, I'm not really scared of doctors. It's more of like, they just kind of make me nervous. Especially when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was extremely scared of gloves because I knew that when a doctor put on gloves, I knew that something I didn't like was going to happen. Usually, like, a shot or something like that. As I've gotten older, now I'm 24, I do a lot better with doctors. Like, I'm not, like, say, scared of doctors. I just sometimes kind of get nervous about what's going to happen. Even if it's not, like, an appointment, like a doctor's appointment where I, like, have a checkup or something. Even if it's just, like, talking even to, like, a nutritionist or something like that, sometimes it still kind of makes me nervous, because I know that there could be a change. I mean, there might not be a change. They might say, oh, you're gaining good weight and you're good completely, but anything that could be a change in some way does make me nervous. I feel like now that I've gotten older, I do a lot better with, seeing doctors and specialists and things like that, people like that. But it's more of, like, being nervous, not really about, like, the doctor as much as it is what could happen. I was born with a rare birth defect called congenital diaphragmatic hernia, also known as CDH. Several of my insides are in the wrong spot, and I had to have, like, previous surgeries because of it. My insides can move because of my birth defect, and the reason why I had to have a feeding tube was because one of my previous surgeries, I had a general surgeon instead of a specialist. He couldn't see very well and hit a nerve in my stomach that caused my gastroparesis, also known as partially paralyzed stomach. I was on the gastroparesis diet, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically eating food that doesn't have a lot of fiber, because fiber slows down your digestion, and you don't want a lot of fiber when you have gastroparesis, because gastroparesis means your stomach is partially paralyzed, so it takes longer for your food to digest. And so I had, like, toddler size meals for 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, I guess probably 2 or 3 years or so. I would eat, like, every other hour a toddler size portion, and then I could eat again, like, after it digested. End up having health issues where I basically couldn't keep hardly anything down. Found out I had a hernia again, as well as this time I had gastroparesis on top of having a hernia. And so I tried to have, like, this other surgery that didn't work out, and I started losing a lot of weight because whenever I would eat food, I would get sick. And so I went to see a specialist, and they were like, it's time you need to be on a feeding tube. I knew at some point I would be on a feeding tube, but I didn't know, like, exactly when, because the doctor that we saw, he was like, oh, if you get to, like, this certain amount of, like, losing this certain amount of weight, then you'll need to be on a feeding tube. And I got to that point, and I had surgery to be put on a feeding tube, and I have gained a lot of good weight on it. I am on constant feeds. The only time I am off of my feeding tube is to shower or to change clothes. Unless I'm getting, like, a button change, then then I'm off of it from midnight till after I get my button changed. But I'm basically on 24-hour feeds because my feeding tube is how I get my nutrition. Now I can have like certain things that melt, like plain ice cream, peanut butter, certain kinds of candy that melts, like M&Ms I can have. And I do have a G-tube that I hook up an extension to, and it goes out my G-tube. So it's kind of like getting sick out of my feeding tube, if that makes sense. But my J-tube that goes to my intestines, that's where I get my feedings from. And I do that because part of my stomach is paralyzed and some of my stomach is herniated. So, anyways, that's kind of a little bit of my story for y'all. Thank you all for being here, for watching my journey. I really appreciate it. Be sure that you subscribe if you're new, hit the notification bell, and let me know what kind of videos y'all would like to see. Bye, everyone.